Hello, everyone. I'm doing a spontaneous live stream today, and I've not done that in a long time. I don't know if anybody will tune in. We'll have to wait and see. So, yeah. So, I've been receiving some messages from people, seeing if I'm okay, because yesterday, let's just say, well, a couple days ago, I posted a video, my last video, which is titled J.K. Rowling is Irresponsible. And suffice it to say, I chose to upload that video because I don't think it's acceptable for anybody to be transphobic. And it needed I needed to have a conversation about it. Of course, that meant that over the course, as the video gained a little bit more momentum, um, that means that a lot of people were leaving hate comments, a lot of J.K. Rowling apologists. So I made the decision to have a follow-up video and talk about it live because why not? I see a few people tuning in. Ignis here, Zachary, Mario 133 is here. It's good to see you guys. I'm gonna just wait a couple minutes to see if anybody else tunes in. I'm not gonna be streaming very long, only for probably about 30 minutes or so, because I still have a lot of other things to work on today. But figured I would just pop on. Um, oh, thank you, Zachary. I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. So if I know some of you probably were asking if Ari and I are going to continue doing Restitching the Tapestry. We are. We are taking a small break because we think and came to the conclusion that it's a really good idea to kind of refresh oneself after doing a series of episodes. So we're just taking a small break and we will be back on, what date is it? Let's see, Friday, October 2nd. That's when we're going to do the next episode. So you can tune in that day for that. So anyway, all right. So let's talk a little bit more about J.K. Rowling. So she is the author of the Harry Potter series. Many of you have probably watched my last video. And I think that it's important to have a conversation about the people who are acting as her apologists. And now, don't get me wrong, like, I have seen a lot of people speaking out against her, holding her accountable, and I think that's wonderful. In fact, I would say that the majority of the Harry Potter fandom is, in fact, doing that, which is phenomenal. However, there are still a very large number of people who are justifying her transphobia, basically making comments like, well, she's an author, she can have her opinion on things. Like, why can't people have their opinions on things? Sorry, my allergies are really bothering me today. And and of course, there were some more extreme things, like people making comments about identity politics being this cancer, people making comments about how, like, me talking about it as being fragile, and how transgender people in general are very fragile people because they get offended by everything. And, well, obviously, I don't agree with any of those because I think they're extremely misled comments. Hold that thought, I'm going to grab some Kleenex. For some reason, my allergies hit me today like a ton of bricks. Usually happens in September, so that's nice. Um, Igny's like, it was an entertaining event for sure. I couldn't just let people harass you like that, so I felt the need to help out. Thank you, thank you. Like, I did receive some messages from people asking if I was fine. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, ever since I've been on YouTube, I've had many videos receive a lot of hate comments. I've literally had homophobic people tell me to kill myself. I've had people tell me that I shouldn't have been born. I've had people say a whole variety of different things. I've had people tell me that I should get AIDS, and it's sad that LGBTQ people have had to live in this reality, and people like myself have had to kind of grow accustomed to it. So, um, but I want to use that though as a means to have a conversation about why those things shouldn't be happening. And obviously, this whole J.K. Rowling situation is the latest example of a lot of people congregating to support someone, even though their perspective on a group of people is extremely troubling and erasing of a particular group of people. And I really was intrigued by people dismissing the fact that her saying some very transphobic things is troubling by simply being like, well, why can't people have an opinion about things? And I would really like to begin by saying an opinion is something innocent like, well, I don't like pineapple on pizza, or I prefer to rent instead of take out a mortgage on a house, or, I prefer going to Aldi instead of Walmart to shop. Like those are opinions, okay? Opinions are innocent, especially when they don't adversely affect people. People are advocating her stance on a group of people, not just an opinion on a group of people. So people literally are saying that it is okay for J.K. Rowling to have an anti-trans, I'm just going to say a transphobic stance because she's entitled to her opinion. Nobody said that she's not entitled to her opinion, but you also have to realize that people who are going to, especially if they have a lot of social influence, if they are going to put out there that they do not believe in the existence, essentially, of an entire group of people, an incredibly marginalized group of people, yeah, they are expressing their opinion, but there are consequences. They are going to be held accountable for their troubling opinion. It's as simple as that, you know? So, it's just been to me, very interesting to see the lengths that people will go to defend somebody. Even though in all actuality, those people are well aware that they are enabling transphobic behavior. Because, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm all about educating people. Like, I think it's very important to, like, if somebody has a particular stance, like, obviously, when we develop our stances on things, they are conditioned by the people that we surround ourselves with. So, like, it could be family groups, it could be friend groups, it could be media that's watched. Like, we are conditioned to view in the way that we are conditioned to view. And presumably, as we grow, we learned to develop an understanding of people beyond our own set of experiences. Okay. And a lot of these people who are devoutly acting as an apologist for J.K. Rowling, those are people who have either lost sight of that or have never really understood that because of the people that have continued to surround them. Now, keep in mind, I know that's not justifying them because at a certain point, people should develop the capacity to understand on a basic human level, like basic human decency, that there are people outside of their experiences that have drastically different experiences that may have far more difficult time, like a far more difficult time when it comes to marginalization, so on and so forth. So why, why can't we look at the trans community with a lens of empathy? Why can't those people do that? And the truth is, I personally believe that a lot of people consciously choose not to do that because they're uncomfortable with the thought of it, because that would be an admission that they are being very troubling about a group of people, that they are being very disrespectful and discriminatory. I mean, it could be this latent fear that people have, like, they don't want to acknowledge their flaws because it would paint them as being the bad guy, you know? It's all about education at the end of the day. Yeah, Igni, you exactly. What she's expressing are not opinions, they're beliefs. An opinion cannot be disproven. Well, sometimes an opinion can be disproven, but a belief definitely can be disproven. Exactly. So, and of course, there were people who were saying, like, well, how can you gather that this book is transphobic? I can't remember what the name of the book is. I don't even care what the name of the book is at this point, that she had written about a a serial killer who, dresses as a woman when killing people, killing women. Um, Part of me doesn't think that that's an original idea anyway, but that's a whole nother topic. So, like, people, like, of course, were saying that, oh, well, she's not transphobic, or this book isn't transphobic. Well, her pen name, Robert Galbraith, which is the pen name that she goes with, is also the name of an American psychologist, I believe. An American psychologist who psychiatrist, not psychologist, who advocated for gay conversion therapy. You know, like, I know people will say, "Well, you can't assume that that means that this book is transphobic," but hear me out. If you're gonna support somebody who has a history of transphobic stances on things, if you are going to promote somebody who literally says those things publicly on social media, and then write a book about a person who cross dresses, or who, like, changes their identity on the outside, who is also a villain, additionally, under a pen name that is a psychiatrist's name, who was very well known for gay conversion therapy, how is that not a reflection of a transphobic stance? Like, that's literally my question. Like, how is that not, you know? I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Been sneezing all day, it's been ridiculous. So yeah. Um, Additionally, I mean, it's not like, here is the thing, it's not super surprising that there are people devoutly supporting her as if she's some saint, because the truth is, if we look at our president, like, people are devoutly supporting our president despite the, you know, unending number of very troubling things he's said or done. The truth is, it's very much a mentality where somebody becomes so loyal to somebody that they could literally do the most horrible thing or say the most horrible thing, and it's, in a way, twisted or justified as being something positive. Like, it's very much a, like, troubling Stockholm syndrome when you think about it, but, um I know people are very passionate these days, especially when they make comments like, "Well, this is just an appeal to identity politics. This is just the political correct brigade trying to impose things on people who have different opinions." And it's interesting to see, like, this culture shift that we've gone through over the past 4 years, and we know why it's been the past 4 years. But it's interesting to see this culture shift where people are now emboldened to hate. They are given validation to express their hate and not regard people with any shred of empathy or any understanding of basic human decency. Those people, like, their immediate argument is to immediately retort and say, well, you're just being politically correct, or you're just being one of those social justice warriors. It's like, I don't really think that you can dangle human decency into a box like that. It really is about human decency. It's about acknowledging that there are other people out there who have different experiences, and just because those experiences they face may not affect me doesn't mean that I shouldn't care about those experiences. And to me, the relatively large amount of people who are still acting as an apologist to J.K. Rowling, those people are completely disregarding the fact that there are people who have different experiences. And it at the end of the day, it is a privilege. Now, I know when people hear the word privilege, they might cringe or twitch and be like, oh, that's another one of those signal words that social justice warriors use, or it's another, one of those signal words used by the politically correct brigade. It isn't. Privilege is a reality. I have certain privileges that other people don't. You probably have certain privileges other people don't. A lot of people, large groups of people, have privileges that other people don't. Privilege is not an insult. Acknowledging privilege isn't an insult. People might feel guilt over their privilege, and that is probably an understandable reaction, but it's what we do with that guilt that makes a difference. Do we use that guilt to educate ourselves, to develop a better understanding of many of these groups who face atrocities that we may not experience or understand? Do we use that guilt to help advocate for those people when we're able to? Those are questions that are, I think, important for people like this to ask themselves, truthfully. Is it uncomfortable to talk about privilege? Of course it is. It's not meant to be easy. So I really do think that a lot of J.K. Rowling fans slash apologists need to have a very frank conversation with themselves. Like having this conversation isn't meant to make people angry necessarily, nor is it intended to make people feel guilty, but it is intended to make people think. And we feel different things when we think about things we're not used to thinking about, and we need to find ways to power ourselves through those emotions. And, you know, now I think there's a certain point where, like, I will say, yes, a person's transphobic or homophobic or whatever, especially if they're just going to respond with anger or respond by trying to, you know, insult the credibility of myself or other LGBTQ plus people, or try to erase us, or suggest that we are being over dramatic about our visibility, our existence, our safety, so on and so forth. Hey, Toho Society, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Sony just showcased an open world Hogwarts game. And like, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because the truth is, like, I'm not expecting people to start hating Harry Potter, because the truth is, like, obviously those stories have really touched a lot of people. And I think that they should always be celebrated. Like, the work can be celebrated, but I do think that the person behind the work, like the fact that she's created one of the biggest franchises in pop cultural phenomenon, that doesn't excuse her behavior or her transphobia by any means. Of course. Yeah. So anyway, like, I still have about 10 minutes left, but I am sorry my nose is literally running ridiculously. Um, this like I always try to approach a conversation from a poised perspective, and it's difficult to do. It's taken me many years to do that. I attribute being a teacher to being an assist with that because, like, even getting hate comments, I always try to respond at least without insulting people. There will be a point where I might be like, "Okay, I'm done with you." But, like, there were a few conversations that I had a couple of days ago where people, like, understood that, "Hey, we were having a discourse, we were having a good conversation." Because if somebody legitimately doesn't understand something, I mean, vilifying them isn't going to help them understand. I mean, unless they're literally saying some very obvious, deliberate, horrible things, that's an entirely different story. I think it's possible to help people see things from different perspectives in a paced way, but that's just me. So is the stream working okay for everybody? It's not freezing or anything, is it? Let me know in the comments if you can. Because I tried pulling it up to see how things are going on it, and it was like kind of flickering for me. Well, anyway, it must be working for everybody. So, like, I know this is a weird time to do a live stream. Normally, I would do it later at night, but I had these thoughts in my mind and I needed to talk about them right now. So, I like there seems to be this latent shame that people have when it comes to educating themselves about privilege and groups of people who face different things. Um, Igni, you're so sweet. You always try to see the good in people, and I love that. I do. Like, I am very passionate about seeing the good in people because I do believe that everybody has the capacity to be good. And I also believe that empathy is taught, much like hate is taught. All like our demeanors are very much a product of conditioning. And I think it's very important for people to realize that, um, well, it's possible to recondition ourselves to be more cognizant of, less privileged people, more cognizant of the difficult things that other groups of people face. Hey, Ari, the stream is doing some sort of weird flickering thing. Yeah, it is doing that on my end as well. It must be working for some people, but not working for other people. I wonder if maybe just the connection is weird. Maybe YouTube is really inundated right now. Hopefully it improves. Hopefully we'll see. Leave it to technology to be fun. But I think it's important to see the good in people, but also be measured with that, like that unwavering optimism. Because there are some people who will lead you into thinking that they are trying to see things from your perspective, but then they'll just come out and be like, nope, just kidding. So I think it does require some exercising of judgment. Um, but yeah, I'm doing well, Ari. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm having a good day today. I've been pretty productive today. I've been working on a lot of school stuff, working on some creative stuff, getting ready for the book rollout on Friday. So, but um, but yeah, I've just been very amused by the apologists that I saw in the comments on my prior video. Very amused, um, because it's very interesting to see people's desperation when you are criticizing somebody they love because again, they will go to almost extreme measures to defend those people. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap things up right now. I think the connection's just being weird, and I if it's going to be all finicky on the other side for everybody else, I don't want it to be prolonged too long. So anyway, thank you for listening to me for a few. I really appreciate all of you. And when I get my book, I'm going to do a video about that. So stay tuned to that or for that in a couple of days. All right. I love you all. Share your thoughts in the comments if you come back to this video later on, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.